If I were to speak to you about how the last 5 years have gone, and I'm specifically looking for things that you started doing, but you stopped. There's a whole list of other things you would have wanted to do, you did not start. That's a conversation for another day. Specifically, focusing just on the things you started doing, but you stopped. What are those things you started doing? Is it something you started learning? Is it a business you started investing in? Is it a subject you started reading about? Is it a new community you are trying to build? Some of the things that you were excited about at the time you were starting them, you started, but then you stopped in the last 5 years. Would there be some important things in there? Things which, if you had succeeded in staying put, that today your life might be totally, totally different. In there, in the things you started and stopped, there is a pattern. And it's a pattern that controls your life. As long as that pattern remains silent, you are literally in prison. It's going to repeat itself over and over and over. When you start and stop doing important things, do you know why? Do you know why you started and stopped? I want to give you a couple of ways to look at it, and I look at it in terms of D's, just a couple of D's. The D's are the front. This is the layer that you can see. It is underlain by something behind it, but first of all, you start by figuring out which of these D's were the reasons why you stopped. You stopped pursuing something that you are excited about, something you know is important in your life. You started and then you stopped. The first D is you got discouraged. You got discouraged. And discouraged is an interesting word. In other words, you started with the courage of excitement, but then you became discouraged. In other words, you lost the courage. As a result, you lost the internal energy. You lost the internal commitment. You lost the internal attraction to doing this thing that you had started. The deeper question would be why and how did you get discouraged? What thoughts are related to the discouragement? What internal rules were violated that made you become discouraged? But that's a conversation, that's the next level conversation. For now, we are just looking at the layer. Do you know the pattern? What is the pattern? Such that if this year you are setting goals and discouragement has been the main reason why you dropped important goals before, then you have to watch out. You have to become a watchman for discouragement. Anytime you become discouraged, you need to start praying about it. You need to start journaling about it. You need to start speaking to somebody about it. You cannot keep it inside because you are a prisoner of discouragement. When discouragement shows up, it doesn't matter how important the goal you have is, you are going to give up. The second D, why people become stuck, they stop doing important things that they start, is that they become disconnected. Did you stop because you suddenly felt disconnected? People drop out of relationships because they are no longer disconnected. Marriages end because people no longer feel disconnected. People drop out of groups or investment communities or chamas because they're no longer disconnected. I don't feel like I'm part of them, but I don't feel like we gel, we connect. Where in your life have you ended up letting go of an important goal because you had this overwhelming sense of disconnection? It may apply to you or it may not apply to you. We are searching. If it is one that applies to you, it's time for you to become a watchman. As you set goals, as you start the new year, to watch out from when and where disconnection is showing from. Because if that is your weakest point, once you become disconnected, you let go of things, then the next time it shows up, it doesn't matter how committed you are to your goal. The deeper next discussion will be, why did you become connected? And how did you become disconnected? And what is it in your consciousness and psyche that the disconnection hooks onto and makes it very easy for you to let go of an important goal? But the first level is to identify, is this connection an issue for you? Do you let go of things because you became disconnected? Do you become disconnected as a way to protect yourself? Do you become disconnected as a way to escape? You are pursuing a goal that is going to require more discipline than you are willing to give it. You're pursuing a goal that is going to require more focus and attention and consistency than you are willing to give it. And therefore, subconsciously, you disconnect so that you are no longer obligated. This shows up in school where people cluster into groups. Those are the nerds, those are the nice girls or the nice boys or the backbenchers. It's anytime we are entering into a group or a clique, a lot of the times it's for an underlying reason. What is the reason why you probably disconnected? If this applies to you, maybe it doesn't. If disconnection is one of the reasons why you let go of really important goals in 2022, 2023, maybe 2021, and the years before that. The next D, and this is probably one of the most common ones, is that people sometimes stop pursuing something important because they perceive it as difficult. Has that been one that applies to you? Look at the goals and dreams and desires you had in the last 5 years. Are there any you let go of because you perceived difficulty? And how did you define that difficulty? Was it based on what you believe you can do? Was it based on how quickly you wanted to get to the end, and then you realized for this goal, you have to slow down and give it a longer timeline, and that's not something you are willing to do? Were you trying to cover an equivalent of a high school curriculum or a bachelor's degree in 3 months? Because here is one thing I have learned and I'm convinced about. The things we label as difficult are often things that are time-consuming, things that require you to be more patient, to go slower but deeper, and allow yourself a longer time. If it was up to you when you were a little baby, if it was up to you to teach yourself to write your own name, you probably wouldn't be able to write your name today. And that's because that's one of the hardest things you have ever had to do in your life. You learned to write your name. Now you look at those letters that constitute your name and it looks like, you don't even think about your name. When you go into an exam room, nobody evaluates you for your ability to write your name because it is second nature. That's a given. But that's one of the hardest things you had to do. Do you know that it took you several weeks to learn how to write your name? And therefore, if you're pursuing something important, if you're trying to learn a new business or a new language, or change your body in terms of your strength, whatever you're trying to accomplish, it is difficult because you're trying to do it within too little a time. If you're trying to learn French, and first week you're already comparing yourself to the French you see people speak in the movies and on television, you have the wrong focus. You will perceive it as difficult when all it is time-consuming. And time-consuming means it needs to become a priority. It needs to have a timeline and a timetable with milestones and allowed to take as long as it takes. You learn it at your own rate, but you will learn it. Everybody on this call today can write their name. Everybody. It doesn't take a genius to write your name. What did it take? Stay at it until you write your name. The day you wrote your name, your parents celebrated. You stick with it until you can do it. Is difficulty one of the reasons why you let go of important goals? Because the things that are difficult, when you stick with them, set you apart. When you stick with something difficult, it sets you apart. It raises you to a level higher. It opens doors that other people won't access because they are in a hurry. They are not willing to be patient to do the small things that are needed right now to get to the result. The final D, and this is the most fatal. This is the most fatal. Did you stop because you became distracted? Did you stop because you became distracted? And this is where I think that we get caught in the network of opportunities. Opportunities are amazing. Opportunities are amazing if they are the right opportunities, which means if you have the right opportunity at hand, your next response is to say no to all other opportunities. Did you stop because you live an opportunistic life where you are attracted to opportunities? In other words, you are guided by opportunities rather than guided by vision. When you are guided by opportunities, every new thing that comes around attracts your attention. When you're guided by vision, every new thing that comes around that is not aligned with your vision, you are able to ignore. Across the country in Kenya and across Africa, we've seen many new opportunities come around. Crypto, quail farming, all sorts of opportunities. If you find yourself jumping from what you're doing to new shiny objects, it's because you are leading an opportunistic life, believing that your solution is in the next opportunity. Except the next opportunity sometimes is not aligned with your personal vision, if you even have a clear written personal vision. In the last 5 years, in the pursuit of important goals, desires, and dreams, are there specific opportunities that you let go, specific projects that you let go of because you became distracted? And is it possible you became distracted because you don't have a clear trajectory for your life? You don't have a solid, compelling vision that will keep you and say, I am on this wall, I am building on this wall. I don't care what other walls people are building. My wall is this one. I am painting this canvas. This is my canvas, and I'm going to stick with this canvas. If it's not clear what wall you're building, or what canvas you're painting, what novel you're writing, what business you're building, every new opportunity will look attractive to you. Every opportunity looks easy from the outside until you get inside and realize, oh, it requires work. When you're a member of one gym, you go to the other gym, the weights that they have there look easier to lift until you come to that gym and realize 40 kilograms is 40 kilograms in every gym. Did you stop pursuing important things because you became discouraged, because you became disconnected, because you started perceiving something important as difficult? Or is it because you became distracted? The final D, these will be the things you celebrate. The things you celebrate today are the things you stopped doing because you were done. That is where all the fulfillment lives. That's where all your self-respect lives. That's where your self-trust becomes strengthened. That's where your self-image gets a boost that nobody can steal from you. The things that you stop doing because you are done. And therefore, you can close that season and move to the next one. You can close this season and open a new chapter. You can close this season and start laying a new layer in the journey of your vision because you are done. Except Sometimes we get done doing things that are meaningless, too small to have an impact in your life. Look at the things in the last 5 years. Compared to the things you got distracted from, you got disconnected from, you got discouraged about, things you stopped doing because they were difficult. That group of things that you did not get done, comparing that group versus the things you got done, which is the bigger group? Where are the opportunities you know for sure that it would definitely have changed your life? Is it in the done group, or is it in the discouraged, disconnected, difficult, and distracted group? The day some of the bigger junks, the bigger opportunities that are still stuck in the not done group, the bigger, some of them start crossing over to the done group, your life changes automatically. You do not need anybody else to respect you, because you are living with total self-respect. And that's the challenge for 2024. Can we make 2024 the year of action? Can we stop talking? Can we and for once, just for 1 year, just act? Can we become jealous of the time that social media is stealing from us and grab that time back to us? Can you finally do something for yourself and complete it without a teacher, without a supervisor at work, without a pastor at church, without your clique? You are doing this thing because of you, so that you can draw a line and say, in 2024, I drew a line, I clarified my vision, and I stayed on course for 12 months. And see, I have something done. I broke the pattern of discouraged, disconnected, difficult, and distracted, and finally had something done. That's a question for you. This is adult stuff question, and I present it to you as an adult question. Is it time? Is it time for you to no longer look in the mirror and see someone who keeps starting and stopping, starting and stopping, starting and stopping, holding pattern? Start, stop, holding pattern. Stopping because you're distracted, stopping because you are discouraged, stopping because you're disconnected, stopping because you're perceiving it as difficult. The ladies on this platform, doing makeup is not easy. What if you started doing your makeup after you have just started putting foundation on one side of the face, you become discouraged and you stop? Will you move out? Will you go out of your house like that? It's not easy. You might have become better with it, but initially when you started, it was not easy. You're so nervous about everything, but you stick with it until you're done. You can't do that makeup in 1 minute. If it's going to take 10 minutes, it's 10 minutes. You can't get discouraged from it and stop. You can't get disconnected from it and stop. You can't stop because it's difficult. You can't stop because you're distracted. You are going for a meeting and you need to have your makeup done. And when it is done and you walk out, it's done. And it crosses over to this side, the done side. Can we have other more important things in your life this year start crossing over? That is my challenge to you. And I will end the recording at that point, and then we can have a conversation. My name is Dr. C.K. Mogire from the House of Mastery, and this is day 77 of the 90-day Momentum Challenge. But specifically today, we are here to talk about introduction to the 90-day Breakthrough Challenge that starts on February 1st, 2024.